Welcome back to our third segment of YourTown television program today, and this segment I host I call Artivism, where we're looking for what the creative life really means to us as it informs our community, as in the way of the creative process, as well as in how we can make our communities better and be even critical of them where they need improvement. And then have a lot of fun with the creative process. And I'm very happy to have the wonderful actor and friend Keith Decker with us for this segment. Hi, Keith. How are you?
Hello.
It's really nice to have you here. Keith may or may not know this, but when my wife and I moved to Carmel early on, and we're still newbies, but 2.5 years ago, we were walking the streets after dinner one night, and we had not been here long enough to know in Carmel to have a flashlight. And there was this gentleman up ahead of us with a flashlight, and it was Keith, and he just says, "Here," and he kind of walked along and gave us a flashlight, shined your flashlight, and was very kind, and he just captured that spirit of Carmel that's really been there for us ever since. So you were a very good ambassador.
Welcome.
Yeah. And then the other time I saw you soon after that with going to the Bloody Mary dime.
The La Playa Hotel has the 10-cent beverage at 5 o'clock every Sunday. Shh,
don't tell anybody. Yeah. So yeah, we had a couple of fun ways to get to know each other. But thank you for being here. And we were talking before the show that you actually grew up in Pacific Grove.
I am a graduate of Pacific Grove High School, and my first, if you want to segue into theater, my first acting experience was in Pacific Grove High School. I was a track star and ran the mile. And after practice, one of my classmates grabbed me by the hand, "Follow me. Where are we going?" "Just shut up and follow me." So I go to a classroom. I walk in, and Shirley Tepper was her name, the English teacher. She handed me a script. She said, "Read this paragraph." I got halfway through the paragraph. She stood up, slapped the table, and said, "Where the hell have you been?" And I played the father in The Diary of Anne Frank. It was so intense because she required that we know history, know the background, which is all the part of theater.
To learn your story.
To learn the story, which is the part of theater that drew me in. And I remember opening night in the little cardboard set and the furnishings there, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm stepping back in time. It's my private time machine. If I live it, believe it, play it, it's mine. And if the audience lives it, believes it, then we've accomplished something. So that's 1964.
And how old were you then?
18.
18. So let me
High school.
This is you about that time, right?
Yes. This would be after that, I was invited to the Studio Dinner Theater in Carmel, and also the Golden Bough Circle Theater in Carmel, which was a semi-professional theater, I found out years later. And learning the craft, how to put on a tuxedo and makeup and speaking properly, and that was the beginning. And
it sounds like from that very first experience, though, you knew you were an actor.
It's interesting to say that because I wasn't quite sure I was an actor, but I knew there was something about the craft that was drawing me in, and I wasn't sure that I would see my name in lights or even become famous. But it was, again, as your program denotes, creative process.
Yes.
It's the creative process that drew me in. And I've invested right now close to 50 years in this.
How have you seen, maybe just a couple of comments on how you would prepare for a role earlier on in your career, and maybe how you prepare for a role now, or is it fairly similar?
It's quite similar, although at that tender age I still have stage fright.
Okay.
I have serious stage fright. But preparing for the role, the same process, although after studying at the Pacific Conservatory of Performing Arts and the American Conservatory Theater in San Francisco, and worked with Lynn Redgrave in Los Angeles when I was living in Hollywood, that I just deepened my process of how to explore or to create a character.
Yes. Yes, wonderful. Well, let's talk about one of those right now. And I'm going to put up another shot of Keith.
This is the Studio Dinner Theater. It's a hilarious play by Alan Ayckbourn. These English comedies, we called them The Stewardess in the Closet, you know.
Yes.
That was, that was 60, probably in the 70s, yeah.
In the 70s. Well, and then there's Sherlock Holmes, right?
Sherlock Holmes, the Wharf Theater on Cannery Row, which is reopening, I'm really glad to say.
Okay.
Yes, they'll be doing some productions there.
Okay, okay. And so we've got some more of these to go through, and I want to do that, but I want to kind of circle around to, you know, what do you think our community needs? What does it do well in the way of theater right now, live theater, and what does it need to stretch itself?
I think the Carmel itself there's good theater. Mm-hmm. And there's plenty for the appetite. I mean, people can see musicals, they can see dramas, they can see comedies. And Carmel has always been, to me, kind of a center for that.
Yes.
And it's interesting, the contrast between Carmel and Pacific Grove.
Okay.
You know, Pacific Grove is the quiet little, I call it Berkeley.
Okay.
Carmel is more like Beverly Hills.
Okay.
But right now, a tremendous opportunity. I mean, I commend Stephen Moore for creating the Pacific Repertory Theater.
Yes.
There's another group, though, in town called the Forest Theater Guild. I'm a member, a board member.
Okay.
And we have a season, the opening season, at the Outdoor Forest Theater.
Wonderful.
Of course, Stephen has his theater, the Golden Bough.
Right.
But our only operating venue is the Outdoor Forest Theater.
Okay.
And opening is Into the Woods, and then The Hunchback of Notre Dame and Sweeney Todd.
Oh, wow.
Now, in answer to your question, we seem to be inundated with musicals because musicals,
I mean, they're fun.
Sell tickets.
Yeah.
I am really interested in provocative and thought-provoking theater.
Yeah.
I'm reading, Karl Čapek was a Czechoslovakian playwright. 1927, he wrote a play called R.U.R., stands for Rossum's Universal Robots. And it's an island in the Pacific where they build robots. And young Helena Glory goes to the island to liberate the robots. And eventually the robots take over. Mm-hmm. Has a surprise ending. But how, you know, now there's all this talk about artificial intelligence and
yes.
and you see robots now.
Yes.
And to see a play written in the 20s that addresses
this. Was that prescient? Yeah, yes.
And there's others. Robert E. Sherwood wrote Idiot's Delight, which takes place in the Swiss-Italian border in 1930s when the war was just beginning. Yeah. And he was tremendously anti-war.
Yes.
And political. He wrote speeches for Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Okay. Not many people know this. He wrote Petrified Forest.
My goodness.
Starring Humphrey Bogart and Bette Davis.
Yeah.
So, and I think there's theater out there.
But to bring find the great plays that also address today's dynamics. And were written universally enough in their time that they're still applicable today.
It's Noel Coward, in fact, wrote a anti-war play called Postmortem, which involved World War I, where a young man is killed immediately, and then they flash forward, and he returns to see if it made a difference 13 years later.
Yes, fabulous.
And I think more than ever, these certain issues I think should be addressed.
I agree with you.
And theater, historically, has always addressed those issues.
They have. So. Yeah, and you know, in my writing as an author, but also in any form of art, what role does it play in our society to question these things and to move us to a better place? And I like to say that, you know, facts are important. They are important. But to care enough about the facts, to do something about them, that takes art.
Passion.
That takes passion.
Yeah. To hold as 'twere a mirror up to nature. Right, as Shakespeare says. You know, we reflect
Yes.
upon it. And then people walk out of the theater, they go home, they turn off the television, and they say, "Sweetheart, did you see that? What did you see in that play?" You know,
That's right.
right?
No, that's right. And now we're talking.
Now we're talking.
Now we have a dialogue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's growth.
That is growth. Well, I applaud you for putting that forward as an area that Carmel and the whole area can stretch itself in. And any one of those plays you get up on its feet, please come back and let's talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. But let's put up another one just for fun. These are just a smattering of Keith's work over the years. Here we have another character that I think our viewers will recognize. Here he is.
The Western stage, Count Dracula. Interesting script by Dennis Powers out of the American Conservatory Theater, and the play begins in Transylvania, and then goes forward to London. You know, I don't drink wine. You know?
So does he contemporize it?
No, it's historic.
Okay.
He followed the book.
Okay.
You know, and that, believe it or not, Bram Stoker,
Okay.
speaking of authors,
Yes.
the only book he ever wrote.
Oh, right. Okay. Was Dracula.
As is true of, what's this, 100th anniversary of Frankenstein.
Only book.
Shelley, only book she wrote.
Wow.
Bram Stoker, Dracula, only
Yes.
book he wrote.
Yeah.
But again, as an actor, pursuing that character, who was Vlad Dracula?
Yes.
Transylvania. There's a stone in Transylvania that people spit on as they pass by. That's the burial site of Vlad Dracula.
Wow.
You know, he would invite peasants to a dinner and then torch the house.
Well, and this is where, as you play different characters over your career, I mean, you do understand other motivations. I mean, this is what acting is about, right? And how that informs you as a human being.
Interesting you say that, because I'd like to point out that when they drove the stake through my heart in the end and I took a bow, I signed autographs, and a woman came up to me and she said, "You know, I felt really sorry for you. You can't play evil. You can't play results. This is my training through Stanislavski, ACT and stuff. You can't play results. You can't go out on stage and say, I'm going to be the most evil man in the world, right? I played lust. He was simply driven by this.
Yes.
I have to.
Yes.
It's not that I have a choice.
Yes.
You know,
Yes. So
driven.
you had to get in touch with that to deliver it. Yeah.
So find that motivation. I think right now I'm thinking of young acting students out there that may be watching that. Just please contain it, make that motivation real, believe, dream it.
Find it in yourself. Something about that character that you can connect directly with.
Yeah.
Rather than make it up.
Right.
Acting is not about making stuff up, is it? It's about becoming authentic into the character, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is historically how it was always done.
Well, speaking of taking on a persona, here you are with Stevenson, or as Stevenson.
It's interesting because I'm a member of the Robert Louis Stevenson Board of Directors, the club here in Monterey, but 30 years ago, so I was waiting tables in a Greek restaurant, and a woman with the state parks came to me and said, "We need someone to portray Robert Louis Stevenson in the Stevenson House," which is a monument on Houston Street behind Alfredo's Cantina.
Yeah.
Beautiful monument to Stevenson. 30 years later, I've written a play about him. I portray him. I do readings. In fact, in late May, I'm proposing to the Forest Theater Guild to produce my one-man show based on Robert Louis Stevenson in Monterey. And I think the Forest Theater is a perfect setting.
Perfect for it.
Because of Point Lobos in the background on the tree, you know, because he was here.
Yes.
His first letter to Sidney Colvin, "Here is a curious start in my life. I'm living at an Angora goat ranch 18 miles from Monterey. I was so sick that 2 bear hunters took me in." That's right near White Rock, right up Robinson Canyon Road.
Yes. I mean, this area, I mean, it does have that heart, doesn't it? It drew artists to it. It still does today.
Yeah.
And I like to say everyone's an artist. It's whether you're consciously developing it or not. And this area draws that artistic part of everyone, whether it's, you know, for those that are actually developing their art consciously, wow, it opens them up, right?
True.
And for others, it brings them into their art. whatever it is, walking down the street or walking on the seashore, this area,
Right.
it just has that power, right?
Right.
It's one of those special places.
From Robinson Jeffers right through to Salvador Dali
Yes.
was drawn here. And I recommend anyone walk down Dolores Street right now, because there is a collection of art galleries. Painters fascinate me.
Yes.
I mean, I sketch and draw
wonderful.
but painters fascinate. I go to art shows and I go, well, you can hang your art on the wall. Where's mine? It's right there.
Yeah. Yes.
Because I think the theater is the ultimate in Dadaism. It's destroyed the moment it's done. When you see a play, you'll never see that play again.
Yes.
You'll go the next night, but you won't see that play. You'll see another interpretation.
Another interpretation.
Living theater.
And in that interpretation, it's oftentimes, right, the surprises that make it even better. But for you as an actor, that you find something as you're playing with the other actors, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And that was,
which is different every time.
That was essentially true of this play, the last show I did was last play I did was at the Monterey Peninsula College, 20,000 Leagues Under the Seas, an original script by David Karsh, Captain Nemo.
Yes.
And what they did was they took Jules Verne's novel and created a play, and it was so complicated, so complex, because the man was a brilliant inventor, but he was seeking revenge because of what had happened to him in his past, his family being murdered by the Russians. And anyway, that play will be opening in late May in Chicago.
Wow.
So this was a premiere. It's going to
yes, in Chicago.
And they had originally written it for an East Indian character.
Okay.
And when I auditioned, the director turned to me and says, "You're making this tough." And he went back to Chicago. They rewrote it, and they made me Polish.
All right.
Under subjugation of the Russian rule.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
That was his conflict. He created this brilliant machine, but when he
But that has teeth in it.
When he clipped off the keel of a Russian vessel, he didn't sink it. He would use discretion when he sunk those vessels. Yeah. That made it a most complicated character for me. But what a wonderful actress I worked with, and some scenes, and she would make a move, I'd make a move, and it would alter the scene thematically just so much. But that's what I like about actors acting as a profession, because it's a lot like music. If I play a certain chord on guitar and someone picks up the riff, and pretty soon you're
in a different place, and you're in a different place, man.
Yeah.
You know, and you find new things to to consider what it means to be human.
Yeah.
So we're winding down now, Keith. Tell me just a little bit, and tell our viewers what's next.
The play at the Outdoor Forest Theater in May, but in March, Tom Parks, a local playwright, has written a series of vignettes, and we're presenting those at the Cherry Foundation.
Okay.
And that'll open early March.
Okay, so
we're in rehearsal now.
Okay,
so
wonderful.
Watch for that. The Cherry, what a wonderful space that is.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
40-seat theater, black box theater.
It's perfect.
I've performed probably 5 or 6 plays there, and it's a special place.
So that's coming up in March.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for being here.
Certainly.
I hope this is just the start of a conversation. We can have you back on.
I think so. We can evolve.
Yeah, let's do it. And I thank you all for being a part of Artivism and YourTown television program, this segment. Thank you all so much. Create, make it mean something, go deeper. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.